Hey guys, so today I'm going to be talking about Tesla stock, and I actually waited a long time to talk again about this stock. I talked about them like 2 or 3 months ago. However, I was really waiting to see what happened with this stock split that they were going to do. And you can see that right now their stock is worth around $412. In the last week since the stock split, they haven't really done much. It looks like they're down $50, which is a lot bigger percentage of a $400 stock than as when they were worth 1,000. However, it doesn't really mean that they're going to be crashing or coming back up. And a lot of the reason why this is happening today is actually because of a very strong market correction here. So a lot of people are probably wondering, is it a good time to buy in or is it a good time to short the stock? Now, from a lot of groups that I've seen on YouTube and from a lot of other traders' advices who I talk to in the community here, I kind of seen that a lot of people want Tesla to pull back a lot. Now, a $2,000 valuation on their company is probably very, very high for their company and for what they're producing at the moment. Now, the stock market is a futures market, so what you're buying now is potentially in, like, if you know something is going to increase in the future, then you're going to be buying it now, and that in that sense the market is a futures market. However, if something is not even proven to be possible, it's not proven to be possible that Tesla sells as much cars as Ford, Chevrolet, etc., etc. So for a company like Tesla to be worth $2,000 a share, that was just too much. And now we're seeing the effects from this in the last few weeks to months here, or actually in the last week and a half since the stock split. We've seen them come down over $50 here and are now sitting around the $400 range. And honestly, I would be keeping a close eye out on the $400 range to kind of know what happens with this stock in the future and to kind of see whether or not we will continue breaking downwards or continue breaking upwards here, because that would be the exact split for $2,000. So that's going to be a very, very key level to keep an eye on. Now, another thing is that they do have earnings on October the 21st. And what I really want to watch with earnings is not how high above or how high below the earnings they actually hit, but how many cars they are selling. And with a lot of this manufacturing stopped in California, if you remember earlier in the year, there was news that Tesla was having trouble with California allowing them to reopen their plant. And as a result, Elon Musk was looking to move a lot of his manufacturing to Texas or to potentially any other state. So there's going to be a lot of news and a lot of people watching around that specific statistic for the company, and to see whether or not they were able to sell more, less, or the same as they were doing in the past, even through all this manufacturing business, all this stopping, and with their new factory in China here, as well as they're going to be looking at competitor numbers, NIO, etc., other companies that are also in this space and trying to outsell Tesla or become the kind of premier brand for this electric car business. Now, like I always say, it's very important to look at the technical analysis here. And one of the main reasons why I'm talking about them, like I said, is they are down a lot here, almost $80 now that I really look at the chart from the top. And honestly, what this means for the company is that they were overdue for a correction here. You can see that it has happened in the past where they are up 358 and then go all the way to 270 in a matter of a week. So it's honestly not too surprising that they are seeing a correction now that we are at these extremely elevated and extremely extended all-time highs. However, what's going to be key for Tesla to continue pushing up here, or maybe to continue breaking down, is going to be what happens with the SPY. And like I always tell you guys, the SPY is a tracker, an index that basically tracks the S&P 500 companies and is a good indication of whether the market is green or red for that day, week, etc. So it's going to be a very good way to know whether or not you should buy calls or puts on a lot of the main companies that are included in the S&P 500. So, for example, Apple went down today very heavily, and you can see that the SPY sold off very heavily as well. So that's going to be a very good indicator of what's happening in the general market. And one of the main points that I try to make in a lot of these technical analysis videos is that the market always retests previous levels here. So if we know that the all-time high for the stock market before the economic downturn was around 340, then we know that regardless of what happens at this moment, the stock market should not be costing more than 340. The S&P should not be more than $340, because of the fact that the market is obviously not doing better than it was doing in the past or in March or February of this year. So that's why it's very, very crazy that the stock market continued buying up above the 340 range and just absolutely smashed through it. We did see 2 or 3 days of resistance, but immediately after that, we saw an incredible run to the 358, and now we're seeing the consequences of this inflated run. And another thing that I've been kind of watching is the volume on the S&P. Now, when we were all the way down here, you can see that the candles are huge, huge swings, and a lot of people are buying in and selling. And as we've gotten to these higher and higher levels, the candles have gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. And this is as a result of the decreasing volume here. As more traders are unsure whether or not the market can continue pushing upwards, we're going to see a lot more resistance pushing through these levels, and we're going to see a lot more of these corrections like what we saw today and like what we'll probably see tomorrow, Friday, as I think the market is going to continue correcting back down to the 340 range here. So just keep a close eye out on what happens, because this is definitely going to affect whether or not Tesla can continue pushing up their valuation, or if they're going to be seeing more of a pullback here and maybe something similar to Nikola, where they sell off very, very heavily after some incredible hype, which we've seen here ever since February and March of this year. So just keep a very close eye out on what happens. I think anything could literally happen with the market right now. I don't know whether or not the market will be going upwards or downwards because of the fact that we've seen so many extended runs, and honestly, this run right here looks very similar to the original run where at the end we saw a pullback of over $20 here in a single week. So I would honestly keep a close eye out. Even if we do bounce back tomorrow like we see on this run, be very careful because we could double bottom here and see them retest this low or whatever low we establish here coming into Friday or Monday. And also remember that Monday is a no trading day because of the holiday. So just keep a close eye out on what happens, what numbers come out, job numbers come out today, etc., etc., house rental numbers. All that is going to be critical in deciding whether or not the S&P can continue pushing upwards, or if we're going to continue seeing more correction in the market and potentially come back down to this all-time high price of $340. So just keep a close eye out. Tesla is a banger right now to buy for the long term. I don't think they will ever be below 300, but we have yet to see what could happen in a market where there are so many stocks that are so inflated in such a short period of time. And with a lot of volume decreasing, there are traders who are less and less sure of what's going to happen. And this is honestly a recipe for disaster for a lot of these companies that have been just absolutely blowing up for the last 2 or 3 months here. So, as always, guys, keep a close eye out on the stocks. Even with the market going down, there are still some great opportunities. We saw Rocket Team yesterday, or the Rocket Company, and that one was doing very good, RKT. And as always, guys, like, you have to just keep an eye out on what's going up, what's going down, what has energy, what doesn't, in order to continue buying the right plays and making sure you don't get caught in a pullback like what happened here with Tesla over the last few days. So just keep a close eye out. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe the video, and thanks for watching.